And welcome to a Bulls Digest. This is going to be the pregame show to the Chicago Bulls versus the Milwaukee Bucks. Want to go ahead and give you some quick updates around both teams, whether it be injury updates and just looking at some of the key things to look forward to in tonight's game. And so let's go ahead and start off with the injury update around the Chicago Bulls. And I must say that this is some huge news here. And so let's go ahead and jump into that and starting with the Bulls. And so we just got word here that Ayo Dosunmu is going to be out, it looks like, with a calf strain, and it looks that he's not going to be reevaluated at least for 10 days or so. And so this is a tough loss because when he's been in the starting lineup through 17 games, I'm seeing that he's been averaging about 14.5 points a game, 3.9 rebounds a game, and 4.5 assists a game. More importantly, Ayo has been very good on the defensive end for the Chicago Bulls, and he's been in the closing lineups. And so he's not going to be out there tonight, obviously, to be into the closing lineups. And so we don't have him to be out there defensively for us throughout the game. And so that's going to be a tough loss. And more importantly, when you're talking about a calf strain, if you've been looking around the league, there's several players that have went down with a calf strain. And I think just recently we saw Luka go down on Christmas Day. And so a calf strain is a tough injury. This is something that I think Charles Barkley has talked about a couple times on Inside the NBA on TNT. And it's an injury that's pretty tricky because, it can feel good. You get out there, you start going, and then all of a sudden you can re-injure the calf and be right back to step one. I can tell you from personal experience, this is a tough injury to deal with. And so hopefully Ayo is able to come back soon. But once again, he's not going to be reevaluated for another 10 days. And so this is also something that I did see with, I think Casey Johnson was talking about this. So next up, just jumping into the injury report overall for the Chicago Bulls, you'll notice that Lonzo Ball is not on the injury list, which is going to be huge for the Bulls tonight because they are certainly going to need him with Josh Giddey, who is not on the injury list. And so we'll talk about that. But we don't have Jalen Smith. It looks like he is out due to an ankle for tonight. So it looks like he was questionable going in, but ultimately I'm seeing that he's out. This is NBA.com, so this could be scheduled to change. But right now I'm seeing that he's out. So next up with Josh Giddey. Giddey coming back to the lineup is going to be huge for the Chicago Bulls. Clearly he's been averaging 11.9 points per game, 6.4 rebounds, and 6.9 assists. But more importantly, Josh Giddey had been pretty hot and before he went down with the injured ankle. And so I'm curious to see if he's going to still get his rhythm back quickly. We're going to need that. Clearly we don't have Ayo. And then how is Billy Donovan going to really work the rotations? Because Josh Giddey hasn't been closing, but I would imagine that he's going to have to be relied on much more in tonight's game. And so next up with the Milwaukee Bucks. And so you see that the key injury for the Milwaukee Bucks is going to be Giannis. It looks like that he is out due to an illness. That is something that seems to be going around there. I know that the Chicago Bulls were dealing with this too. And so an illness for Giannis. He's going to be out tonight, unfortunately, for the Bucks. And so this leads me now to just the team comparisons and what we have here. And so with the Milwaukee Bucks and the Chicago Bulls, it was a tough loss against the Bucks the last time that we played them. I think that clearly both teams are going in two different directions. With the Milwaukee Bucks, the one thing that I will say about them is that they have been surging really as of late. Right now, they are, I think, fifth in the Eastern Conference here. And so you can see that their numbers are starting to kind of even out a little bit. I think that they're starting to get a little bit better defensively. They're starting to use their height better as well. So now that they have Brook Lopez and Portis down there, they were really doing a great job using them. And I think the addition back with Chris Middleton has really helped this team. With the Chicago Bulls, look, that was a tough loss to the Atlanta Hawks last time out. And I think that that's really kind of been the story of the season for this team. Like, we see some really incredibly good things with this team that gives you some real optimism that this team maybe can just take another step as is. And then we see the unfortunate part of it with this team where it just bottoms out like it did down the stretch here. Now, granted, it was discrepancies in calls and things like that. I think the Hawks went to the line ultimately like 32 or 34 times comparatively to the Bulls 6. But either way, when you're up 21 in this game, you can't lose games like that. And so this is something that goes into this experience with this team and just really growing. And so hopefully this team can just really come out with the fight tonight, because I think the last time that these two teams played, it just wasn't there. I think that clearly I was expecting the Chicago Bulls to take advantage of the fact that they didn't have Dame out there, they didn't have Giannis, and that wasn't the case. The Milwaukee Bucks really took it to the Chicago Bulls. And so next up, as we push forward and take a look here at some more numbers for this upcoming game, just going back to that previous matchup, you see that the Milwaukee Bucks won 112-91. I believe that this is the last time that these two teams are going to play each other this season. But the key takeaway from that is just that Milwaukee beat us up. I mean, Brook Lopez, Bobby Portis, Middleton, like, they played extremely well inside. And I mean, they just, that was just the key to the game. It's just that those players pretty much just dismantled the Chicago Bulls in the last matchup out there. So hopefully, again, we come out with the right type of mentality and really try to bring it to the Bucks. I think that is some of the things that we lack in some of these games that we lose. Is just the mentality is not there to go out there and get it sometimes. And I think you see that a lot of times in the slow starts with the Chicago Bulls. So that's something that they have got to fix, hopefully starting tonight, and can continue on with these habits. And so next up, when we look at the projected starters, I think that some of the keys to watch out for in tonight's game, clearly they have Dame Lillard back. They pretty much have the entire roster here, minus Giannis. And so I think you just get a chance to see just how much better Dame has been in year two. I think that Doc Rivers has really settled in with this team as well. And so I'm looking to see, what they are going to do as far as with Giannis out, how are they going to really try to get their offense going? Because with Giannis not driving downhill, I'd like to see what those half-court sets are going to look like. Is it going to be more post-ups and things like that, traditionally against the Chicago Bulls team that's really struggled to stop teams in the paint? And so next up, with the Chicago Bulls, I think really the key thing to watch out for in tonight's game, it's going to be the guard rotation between Josh Giddey and Lonzo Ball, because, again, there's no Ayo Dosunmu out there. He is one of our better defenders. And it is going to be up to Josh Giddey and Lonzo Ball to really stabilize this team. I think that when we saw that they were out, there were numerous times where Vooch was in the post, and we just failed to get it to him. And I think that Giddey and then also, too, Lonzo Ball are certainly going to help that. They're going to help us with the fast break game and things like that. But they're also collectively going to have to help us defensively. And so this is going to be an interesting test for this team. I'm looking for Vooch, to go ahead and hopefully establish himself some more inside. I think that when we start to get into half-court sets, we're generally a bit more successful if we can start to get some post entries, and hopefully we can get some better player movement and ball movement out of these half-court sets when Vooch gets some touches, because I've said this several times, you can't just sit there and keep swinging the basketball around for the three-point shot. I get it. I know that the offense has really been formulated for that, but you can get some easier baskets, and I think that that's really where the Chicago Bulls struggle. And you have to use a player who's been very good as far as, getting in the paint and utilizing his touches. And so next up with Zach Lavine, look, he played, I think, well on the offensive end this last game out. I think it was a season high for him, but the turnovers. And so, as we're slashing to the basket, guys have got to make sure that they're making the correct decisions, and that is going to fall right in line with Kobe White. I think that at times he plays a bit fast out there, and so I think that as these players are coming downhill, whether it's Lavine or Kobe White, hopefully, they are making the best decision out there, because some of these decisions and turnovers, it's things that just really hurt this team moving forward. And so that's something that we've got to correct. And so next up, too, I think another thing to watch is just what are the Chicago Bulls going to do without Jalen Smith. That is going to be a key piece. And I just talked about the height that they are going to face with the Milwaukee Bucks. And so trying to stop a team that has you in the height advantage is going to be difficult. You don't have Jalen Smith. If Vooch does somehow get into foul trouble, where does this team pivot? And so I think that those are some of the things to look forward to. Along with Patrick Williams, I think that he's been playing pretty well as of late as far as scoring the basketball. And I've liked some of the things he's done from an aggressive standpoint, so hopefully he can continue to build off that. And with the bench unit, look, we have got to see some more modest Buzelis tonight, especially with the fact that, the front court is down a player. And so I would expect that Billy Donovan is going to have to go more towards modest Buzelis. THT is going to have to play a lot more better for us tonight. Really struggled, I think, in the last game. So I think that these are two players off the bench that we're going to need to count on. And Dalen Terry, look, he struggled in his start last game. He's got to really shake it off from that last game because he just could not stop fouling, couldn't make very many shots, couldn't get into a rhythm, and we need both him and Jalen Phillips. And so I'm going to go ahead and jump into the comments real quick before the game starts. It is getting ready to start right now. And so we got D-Law over here. It says, I expect the Bulls to win this game just because it's a home game. Milwaukee is favored -2.5. Well, I hope that the Bulls can get it done. I mean, I know that they've been challenged at home. And I know that that's one of the things that they had talked about is wanting to have a home court advantage. And so for whatever reason, this team just seems to respond a bit more on the road. But who knows? I mean, we just gave up a tough one on the road. So I don't know. Maybe things are flipping. Maybe they do take care of the Milwaukee Bucks tonight. And obviously, as a Bulls fan, I'm always looking for the win. As far as the favorite line, that's tough. That's really tough, man. So we'll see how that goes. And so I just want to thank everybody out there for taking a look at this show. And also, too, before I jump out of here, I almost forgot DJ Stewart. And so DJ Stewart was, I think, waived today in favor of, I think it was, Emmanuel. Yes, player that we have just signed. He averaged 18.2 points a game, 2.4 assists, and 8.4 rebounds a game. Couldn't see what I put there. And so anyway, we have a small forward that is going to now be into our G League system. He's on a two-way contract, and so hopefully we get a chance to see him eventually make it up. But it is tough to see DJ Stewart go. I think that DJ Stewart played very well during the Summer League, and I also think that he's been playing very well, I think, during his time in the Windy City Bulls. And I think that if you ever needed to send a player down, whether it's Modest or some of these players that have played with him, it would have been great to have him play with an experienced point guard or point guard that has played with them. And so I'm curious to see how this works now from a developmental standpoint. And also, too, with Emmanuel being 6'7", are the Bulls going to go ahead and utilize him? Because I do want to see him eventually get some time. Hopefully we do get a chance to see Sanogo some more. And also, too, I think E.J. Liddell, who's made some appearances. But, again, you're going to have to start to utilize these players, especially a team that needs some help up front in the front court. So, lastly, we got Bulls need to win. Yes, I do agree with you, Kenny. And DJ Stewart is getting transferred to a new team. Yep, just talked about the fact that he got waived. And so that is tough loss for the Chicago Bulls. So anyway, enjoy the game out there. I will see you guys on the post game. Hopefully we're talking about a win. Hopefully we're talking about something a lot better than what happened against the Atlanta Hawks. And as usual, I'm saying